From downtown Scranton, this is Northeast Current. WQPX invites you to join us as we explore public affairs, current events, and arts and culture in northeastern and central Pennsylvania. Now let's meet today's guests on Northeast Current.
Welcome to Northeast Current. My name is James May, and I am the Regional Press Director for the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation.
I'm Mike Taluto, Safety Press Officer for PennDot.
Mike, your job as the Safety Press Officer is to inform the public on various campaigns that we have going on where we focus on safety. And I know a number of these have been, maybe help me out here, the Mature Driver task force that we have. We've had, what are some of the other?
Car seats for children's seats, safety seats.
We have also had aggressive driving campaigns. We've had a number of campaigns. Right now we are in the midst of, what is our campaign going on right now?
Starting this week, this whole week, we have Work Zone Safety Week. And it's not just this week, Work Zone Safety is all the time.
Okay, so I was going to ask you, when is Work Zone Safety Week? So we're in the midst of the Work Zone Safety Emphasis Week.
Right.
But I think you have a good point there, that work zone safety is all the time, every day, whenever guys are out, men and women are out working on the roads.
And especially now because it's springtime and construction season is getting underway. The 2015 season is getting underway for construction, so you're going to see a lot more work zones out there.
I think it's a good point when you say that every day is Work Zone Safety Week, but this is really the week that we emphasize, and we take a little bit more time and inform the public on some of the issues that are out there and some of the concerns that we have. As you look at some of the issues with the work zones, I know we have a memorial back at our office that has names of people who have been killed in work zones. There's a memorial that comes in the area usually about once a year, and it's, you know, dozens and dozens of crosses and cones where we have names on them of people who have been killed in work zones. What are some of the tips that you would give the public regarding work zones and how we can be safe in work zones?
Well, first of all, number one, we have to drive the posted speed limit when you're going through the work zone.
And many times, most times, the posted speed limit is a lower speed than what the normal
Absolutely,
speed is. Okay,
yes.
good.
A second one is stay alert and pay close attention to the flaggers out. That's why we have the flaggers out there. That's to direct you through the work zone.
You know, we were just talking with that individual. I know you're writing up a story on it. That individual who was talking to you, and he said that he was out there flagging, and traffic stopped, and a truck came up over the hill and somehow just wasn't paying attention and rear-ended the car in front of him, and he had to jump out of the way. So these guys every year are seeing either close calls or incidences where people are injured or killed out in work zones. So absolutely critical for people to pay attention in work zones.
And as a driver, you do not want to hit a construction worker. You don't want that.
Right.
That. Okay, turn your headlights on is another tip for workers. When you're going through work zone, you must have your headlights on.
And many times that will actually be posted at certain work zones that you must turn your lights on.
Yes. Another one is maintain a safe distance. If you're going through a barricaded area or an area that's a lane that's shortened down, is to make sure you travel the safe distance between the driver in front of you.
I think that's important because, one, you have situations where, because of the work that's taking place, somebody may see something and they stop, and there's not a good way to get around oftentimes if you're in a barricaded area where you got, you know, the Jersey barrier on both sides of you, and you end up plowing into the person, and then obviously.
And sometimes the lane is smaller than an average passing lane. Oh, use your four-way flashers when stopped or traveling slow.
Okay, so when you get to that point where the traffic is stopping, make sure that you put those on.
Okay, and one thing that we always say, buckle up. Make sure you have your seatbelt on, and expect the unexpected. So if you're traveling to a work zone, it may be come to a sudden stop. Just be aware of their surroundings.
And one of the things that I know that most people know, but maybe not everybody, is that in work zones, whatever fines you get, so if you're speeding, if you don't have your seatbelt on, whatever those fines are, they are actually doubled in a work zone.
Right, that's a lot.
And the other thing I know, a few weeks ago, we also went through we were talking about those laws that a lot of people don't know are laws. But one of those laws that a lot of people don't know is an actual law is the law that says you must pull over if you're able to. It's the steer clear law. And a steer clear situation, and that's if you're driving down the highway and there's an emergency responder, if there's a PennDot truck, if there's a fire truck alongside the road, and you're able to pull over and you don't do that, that's a steer clear area. So if you're in a two-lane highway and you're able to move over, that's a steer clear area. That is treated the same as a work zone in that the fines are doubled in that area as well. So, you know, we talk about the fact that you don't want to hit somebody, and obviously that's the bigger concern. but you also don't want to get hit in your pocketbook either. And,
Absolutely.
You know, so these are the type of things that they will.
And one more tip they have is be patient. You don't
Okay.
have to get to your desk. If you're 5 minutes late because you had to go through a work zone, that's the way it is.
And there are a lot of work zones that will be taking place here in northeastern Pennsylvania. There's that old joke that there's two seasons in Pennsylvania, winter and construction. And I like to say sometimes that many times people will get really, really frustrated with PennDOT when we're not out working on the roads. And people get really, really frustrated with PennDOT when we are out working on the roads. And this is a time of year we had a very, very rough winter. We had a lot of potholes that came up. We had what we call frost heaves all over the area. Interstate 81 in Clark Summit area was actually raised up about 4 inches. A huge stretch of the interstate lifted up about 4 inches. So now when that goes back into place, that's when you start getting potholes. That's when you get a lot of the work that's taking place in the area. Because of that, that's why we came out here to this area.
I was going to say, we're out here on Route 6 and 11 out in Dalton, and you're going to talk about a major project that's going to be going out here.
Yes, this is one of the biggest projects that we have going out the door this year. It's a $42 million road reconstruction project that we're doing. What's going to happen here is from Clark Summit, right when you're leaving Clark Summit going out toward Wyoming County. So down, if you know where the old Chevy dealer was, there's a, right when you're leaving the Clark Summit area. From that point, all the way up into Wyoming County to where 6 and 11 split. We're going to be doing what's called full depth reclamation, meaning we're going to go in and take out the road all the way down to the base. What we're going to actually do is the pavement that's out here now, they'll take that, crack it up, and they're going to use that as the new base to put down. This road will become the base for the new road. And they're going to redo this entire, it's about 8.5 miles of road that they'll be redoing here. They'll be doing this. What they will do is move all of the traffic onto this side here. This is the eastbound side. So all of the traffic will move over in about a week, 2 weeks. It will all move to this side. The single lane going west, single lane coming east on what is now the eastbound traffic. And that other side will be completely closed down while they do the work. They're going to go in and they're going to do the work all the way from the end of Clark Summit up into Wyoming County. Along with that, they're going to be putting in 2 new traffic signals, one right at the entrance to Keystone College, and another one up by State Route 107, that's up by the Bluebird Diner. There's going to be 2 traffic signals going up there. All of the other traffic signals are going to upgrade. They're going to do some work on some retaining walls. So a massive, massive project that's starting here in this area. Now, along with that, there's a separate project that's going to take place from the intersection of 6 and 11 and Interstate 81. That's down by the Turnpike. We're in Clark Summit, where you get on the Turnpike right there. Another project is going to start down there, and they're going to be doing a mill and fill. Basically, they're not going all the way down to the base down there, but they're going to go through and take off about 3 inches of the road and then put down new pavement. In that area, the base of the road is okay, but this road here behind me was built in the early 1950s, and it hasn't had much work done since that time, and so it's 65 years old. And really, really needs some upgrades. So we're going to be redoing the road up here, redoing bridges, redoing signals, massive $42 million project in this part of Dalton, La Plume, Wyoming County, the end of Clark Summit. And then in the heart of Clark Summit, we're going to be doing the mill and fill, a smaller project, and a lot of that work will take place at night. So this is one of the biggest projects that we have taking place here going out the door this year.
You talked about this project here in Clark Summit. Now, there's other priorities that PennDOT have. What other projects do you see coming up this year?
Well, one of the things that we are very fortunate here in Pennsylvania is that the legislature about a year and a half ago passed Act 89, the Transportation Funding Bill. And because of that bill, we're able to pave about 110 miles of roadway this year that we wouldn't have been able to pave last year. Last year we started about 300 miles of roadway. That's because last year's, because of the budget, when the budget was passed, it was a year and a half worth of work. So we started about 300 miles. A lot of that work it will be carrying over into this year. So something like Main Avenue in Scranton, that's one that will get carried over, and Kaiser Avenue, they're finishing that up. Some of those projects will get carried over. But we're actually starting another 110 miles of paving. And when you look at that bill, if we didn't have that bill right now, that number would be 0. we would be putting out, if we didn't have Act 89, if we didn't have the transportation funding bill, we would be paving literally 0 roads, 0 miles of road this year. So because of Act 89, we're going to be putting out about 110 miles of new roads. We're going to be putting that list out, and people can contact me if they want to see exactly where that's going to be. My email is jamay@pa.gov. Some of the other projects that people ask us about a lot, the airport project, that's one of the big ones. That's another $42 million project. The roundabouts down there should be opening up here fairly soon, and that project is going to be wrapping up. I think it's next year.
Yeah, June of 2016.
Mike is the brains behind the PennDot operation. So June of 2016, that project will be wrapping up. But some of the roundabouts will be opening up this
that was my next question for you. Can you explain, I know that they said 4th of July that one of the roundabouts is going to open at the airport. You were talking, other projects are going to have roundabouts.
Yes, a number of projects over in Dallas. If you're familiar with what's called the Dallas 5-leg, where a number of the 5 different roads all come together there right in the heart of Dallas, that will be receiving a roundabout. That project will start up next year, but a lot of utility work, and then probably the end of next year or the following year is when that's going to really start kicking off. We're doing the South Cross Valley Parkway. That's a roundabout down the Nanticoke area. That will have a number of roundabouts. I think it's 4 or 5 roundabouts in that project. The airport will have 3 roundabouts. Dallas will have a roundabout. So roundabouts are coming to northeastern Pennsylvania. And one of the nice things about roundabouts is that when they're installed, the traffic flows much faster. It's more of a fluid moving type of operation. And if there are crashes, they tend to be much less serious. I always say if you go through and you run a stop sign, or if you're in a traffic accident at a stop sign or a traffic signal, you could end up losing your life. If you get in a crash in a roundabout, you normally lose your mirror or some of the paint off the side of your car. You don't have as many fatalities and real serious crashes in roundabouts, which is one of the nice advantages. It moves the traffic faster and much less serious crashes. As we look at the issue of the crashes in roundabouts, I know that's obviously a concern of PennDot, and you as our safety press director is helping to cut down on the crashes. We talked about Work Zone Safety Awareness Week, where we emphasize the importance of being safe in work zones. We're also working with local police departments for our aggressive driving campaign again this year. Talk about that. What is the aggressive driving campaign, and what do we do in that?
Okay, the aggressive driving campaign started on March 23rd, okay, and will go to the middle of April. And what it is local police departments throughout northeastern Pennsylvania will be out there enforcing aggressive driving. And aggressive driving is normally those activities where you're putting in jeopardy another driver. And it's not a hostile criminal act, but when you're tailgating too closely and you're flashing your lights and you're slamming on your brakes and you're weaving in and out of traffic, and those type of things that are aggressive in nature, but they do differ from something like road rage, where it carries over and it becomes more of a criminal activity. These are aggressive driving behaviors, and local police departments are going to be out cracking down on these even more so throughout the month of... from March 23rd through the middle of April, and they're also going to be ticketing people. Local municipalities throughout the state of Pennsylvania will be doing extra patrolling for aggressive drivers. So a lot of things happening in the world of PennDot. Some of it is safety related, some of it is construction project related. Over the next few weeks, we're going to be doing a lot of pothole repair. I know that's one of the things that we get asked quite a bit. Right now, until the plants open, which would be about the beginning of April, a lot of what we're doing is going to be putting in cold patch. So we do know that's a temporary fix, but we'll go back out and do a more permanent fix once we get the plants open. So that's one of the things that we're doing. We should be wrapping up Kaiser Avenue here this year. They're going to be going back and doing some final paving in that area, and that should wrap up. They'll do that final paving mostly at night, but that project should be wrapping up soon. The airport, or the Interstate 81 near the mall area, the Main Street, Main Avenue, that project is wrapping up. So while we're launching a lot of stuff, it's important to keep in mind that we're also wrapping up a lot of stuff, and there's a lot of projects to be done. Especially as we launch into the spring and summer season, one of the things that we do in our office is every Friday we send out a road report in which we let the public know about the project that we have going on.
what we have planned. Obviously in the wintertime, a lot of it's reactionary where there's a crash or something happens. But in the summer, spring, and fall, many times we know what we have planned on the roadways. If you would like to receive that, you can email me, jamay@pa.gov. We'll put you on our list, and we don't send a whole bunch of other junk email to you. Just we'll send this out and let you know when there's a major event that takes place on a road or major construction that we have planned for the upcoming week. Also, I know that Mike or I are available to go in and speak to any community groups, civic organizations, Boy Scouts, church groups about safety issues, or if you want some updates on some of the road projects, you can contact us. My direct number is 570-963-4044, or email is jamay@pa.gov. And once again, we want to thank everybody for joining us here as we take a look at some of the projects that we have taking place, some of the safety events, and just all around what's happening in the world of PennDot here in northeastern Pennsylvania.
And on that note, I just want to say, work zone, be aware of the work zone safety. Just be careful out there when you're driving, and also wear your seatbelt and do not text and drive. That's a big issue now.
Thank you so much for joining us.